Like many teenagers do, playing sports, juggling part-time jobs, or finding time for homework, healthful eating is a balancing act. We're going to teach all of you what those food labels really mean and how to make the right decisions when it comes to staying healthy. Let's start by looking at the nutritional facts on the back of the cheese snack. Start by looking at the servings per container. For this example, there are 2 servings per container. Therefore, we would have to double the calories, the total fat, the cholesterol, the sodium, carbohydrates, and protein if you were to eat the whole bag. So what we thought was 170 calories is really 340. The average person eats about 2,000 calories per day, meaning the bag of chips is already 17% of your daily calorie intake. A tip to remember, a lot of companies will make their food serving small so it looks like the food is healthier than it really is. Next, we look at the percentages of fat, cholesterol, sodium, and carbohydrates listed on the right side of the food label. If it is 5% or less of nutrients, it's considered a poor source. 10 to 20% would be considered a good source of nutrients. More than 20% means it is high in that nutrient. What most people don't know is that we do need fat in our diet. It supplies us with a good source of energy for our skin and organs. However, too much fat can lead to weight gain. Remember to check the saturated and trans fat because those are the types of fats that will lead to clogged arteries and heart problems. Because sodium is added to many foods already, most of us get way more sodium than we need. Like fat, your body needs carbohydrates for energy. Even though many fast foods are high in carbs, it would be a smarter choice to get them from healthier sources such as whole grains, wheat bread, and pasta. Some snacks contain no sugar, but that just might mean that it gets its flavor from salt. Therefore, you should look for snacks that are low in salt and sugar. Along with fat and carbohydrates, you need protein for energy. Protein is especially important for you, your muscles, and other stuff like skin and hair. 10 to 20% of your daily calories should come from protein. A tip to remember, look for foods that are high in fiber, vitamins, and minerals, like orange juice. Now let's move on to the ingredients list. Beware of foods that start with sugars, oils, salt, and fats because they're the biggest ingredients. Instead, look for foods that have a shorter ingredient list and natural sounding ingredients. Now that you know the facts about nutrition, here are 5 guidelines you can think of when choosing a food to eat. Choose variety. Instead of having the same thing for lunch every day, mix it up. Choose whole grains. Bread, cereals, pasta, and rice should make up a big part of your diet. Choose fresh. Eat the fresh picked versions instead of the ones that are canned or processed. Choose fiber. Instead of a milkshake, try a whole fruit blended smoothie. Choose low fat. Drink low fat or skim milk instead of whole milk. So how do we know which advertisements to trust? That's where the nutrient claims come in. The government has set strict definitions for 12 terms you can trust: free, reduced, lean, less, light, extra lean, low, fewer, high, more, good source, and healthy. When you see these words, you know the food meets the criteria. Another type of claim, the health claim, can also teach you about the nutrients in foods. The FDA has approved 10 claims. Calcium is said to lower the risk of osteoporosis. Fat gives you a greater risk of cancer. Saturated fat and cholesterol give you a greater risk of having heart disease. Fiber-containing green products, such as fruit and vegetables, result in a reduced risk of cancer. Fruits, vegetables, and grain products that contain fiber reduce the risk of heart disease. Sodium can cause a greater risk of high blood pressure. Fruits and vegetables reduce the risk of cancer. Folic acid decreases the risk of neural tube defects in fetuses. Dietary sugar alcohols reduce the number of cavities. Soluble fiber from whole oats, as a part of a diet low in saturated fat and cholesterol, has reduced the risk of heart disease. So next time you're eating, make sure you check the food labels because now you know how beneficial they are towards your health. Keep our tips in mind and share your knowledge with your friends.